Okay, everybody, so I'm going to be making a video today to try to show you how to optimize your frames per second in Modern Warfare. Now, sorry if I sound kind of terrible. I am talking to you on a headset. I don't have a professional microphone at the moment. I'll be getting there eventually. Just hang in there with me. So, anyway, this is probably only going to work if you have the Nvidia graphics card, which, I have an MSI GeForce 2080 Super. And this should work with pretty much anyone that's rocking similar GPUs. There's other programs that work similarly, so you can probably follow along if you have something different. But anyway, let's get started. So up here in my tabs, I have NVIDIA Control Panel. This is where I'm going to go first. And the first thing that's going to pop up is Manage 3D Settings. Okay, and so that's where we want to be. We're going to go ahead and scroll down just a little bit, and we're going to go to Power Management Mode. Most likely it's going to say Optimal Power, or maybe Adaptive. But I'm going to go to Prefer Maximum Performance. Alright, and then I'm going to scroll down just a little bit more, and here we have Texture Filtering Quality. Um, Most likely it's going to say quality or high quality, but I'm going to go ahead and click high performance. Alright, now we're going to click apply, and it's going to hopefully work. So yeah, it blinked there a little bit. And that's all we're going to do there. I'm going to close that, and then I have this program called MSI Afterburner. It's a really great program. I believe if you don't have it, you should get it. Or, some people use Nvidia's Shadow Play. That works just the same, but my preference is MSI Afterburner. And you pull it up and it's going to look like this. You can monitor your GPU temperatures, and over here it's like a little graph that works in real time, shows you whatever you want to know about your system usage. I like to go down and check on my CPU temperature. Now these are all the cores. I go past that and go to my actual just CPU temperature. And here you can see this is my GPU, this is my CPU. But anyway, that's beside the point. We're going to go to power limit here, and we're going to make sure that's all the way up to 100. Alright, mine's already there. Sorry about that. I should have prepared myself more. Unblock voltage control in the settings. I'm sorry I didn't show you that. There's a little gear here. You're going to click on that, and that's your settings. We're going to unblock voltage control, unblock voltage monitoring, and force constant voltage. Now this isn't going to have any effect on your GPU, so don't be worried. We're not overclocking or anything. This is just easy ways to get the maximum performance you can without overclocking. Now that's the best thing about MSI Afterburner. It will not push your GPU beyond the limits. It's got all these safes, all right? So don't worry about frying your GPU or pushing it, beyond its limits, because this program will not let you do that. I mean, if you want to do it, we can start moving these sliders around a little bit more, and yes, it could go above its limit, but it's still not going to be out of safe zone. You know what I mean? So just follow along with me, and we're going to make your GPU work to its potential. I'm going to click on apply. It's going to want you to restart the program. That's just fine. And here it is again. Make sure it worked. Yes, it did. This fancy little fan thing here, you can control the fan speeds based on the temperatures of your GPU. Isn't that cool? I like to keep my fans going nice because I want to keep the GPU nice and cool. And just to show you around this a little bit, GPU temperatures, I go down and there's my CPU temperatures, and now it says in OSD. That means show on screen display. I have this clicked down here, okay? And then I go all the way down here, and this is my frame rates. This is what we're going for, right? Maximum frame rates. It doesn't say that in OSD originally, so I click on it, and then I click show in on-screen display, and it says, okay, that's what we're going to do. And then I go to on-screen display. And then you go down here to more. You can set up toggles or whatever, but the way this sets right now, it just automatically shows up on my games. So that's cool. And this is where it's going to show up on my game. It's going to be up here in the top left corner, and it's a really handy tool. It's going to show me my temperatures and my frames per second, just like I ask it to, right up here while I'm playing, out of the way, not a big deal. But if you want to, you can move it anywhere on the screen you want, but I'm going to keep it here. And you can also change the size if you want it to be massive for some reason, but yeah, I keep it about here, and you can change color that you want it to be. It's really cool. Great program as is. So yeah. And then the thing about MSI Afterburner is you have to keep it running in the background in order for it to show up. So don't download it and close everything out and then he's like, oh no, why isn't it working? You gotta have it running in the background. So I'm gonna minimize this and we're gonna minimize this. Alright, now it's time to pull up the actual game. Seems like I'm rambling on, but trust me, I'm just trying to help you. Alright. Now we're going to click play game. I'm going to leave this in the background because DirectX doesn't like me making changes on my game for some reason. Maybe somebody can put in the comments as to why it does this. I don't know. So, we're going to make some changes. And DirectX is going to be like, hey, and here's an example. It didn't close properly because it just shut it down. I am not going to open in safe mode because that's just no fun, and that's not what I want. Alright, so notice here, I got the border just like a regular computer. Whatever you want. You can still see all this stuff down here. We're going to fix this, and it's also going to help, in my opinion, overall. So we're going to go to Options, and then we're going to go up here to Graphics, because that's what we're trying to do. In Display Mode, see? Windowed. That's what all this is. We're going to change that. You can do full screen or, full screen extended, but my favorite is full screen borderless, and that's going to allow me to transition outside this little window and not really have to tab out unless I'm in game. Now, I'm going to have to tab out if I'm in game, but if I'm on the menu, I can just go whoop whoop. See there? Nice. Alright, display monitor tells you what kind of monitor I got. No privacy here, I guess. Display adapter, and there is my GPU. Alright, so my screen refresh rate is 144, which is what this does, and it's locked there. You can change this. Maybe I was wrong. Full screen? There we go. See? Go to full screen and you can mess around with this, but 144 is all my screen can do, so it doesn't really bother me. Alright, render resolution. Here we are, 1920 to 1080. Most people are probably going to be playing on 1080 because that seems to be the optimal range for gaming these days. However, I got a 1440 monitor, so I'm just going to go ahead and change that so that it says 1440. Alright, and see that? That's, that's the difference. I have 1440 pixels in this amount of space, and, you may have 1080. Even if you have a 1440 and you're just not getting the speed that you want, you can drop that down to 1080, and it'll probably give you a couple frames per second, if not, make a noticeable difference. So, play with that if you want to, and, let me know in the comments if it made a big difference for you. I have a second display, so that's all it's capable of, no changing that, whatever. Aspect ratio. It's probably going to be 16 to 9. That's what most are. I'm going to click on automatic because whatever. Sync every frame. This is going to be disabled in my book, and I'll tell you why. VSync is a great tool. It keeps you from having screen tears, but I've got a pretty beefy system, if you haven't noticed, by the 2080 Super. I could went to a Super or 2080 Ti, and that's, but I just didn't have it on hand at the moment, so whatever. I don't really have a problem with screen tearing. Maybe once in a blue moon, big deal. I doubt you'll have much of an issue either. It just depends on, how hard you're trying to push your GPU, and if your screen can handle what your GPU and CPU are trying to do together. I'm gonna leave it disabled. Do what you want. Custom frame rate limit. I can't speak today. I apologize. I'm gonna leave it on custom. Some people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're crazy if you don't have it on unlimited," but I'm just trying to help you out here, so you do what you want. And 144, I'm gonna take that all the way up to 300. Now this is in game, okay? At the menu, I'm gonna leave it on 60. As you can see up here by my MSI Afterburner, I'm getting 62, 63 frames per second, and my GPU temperature is at 38. That's fantastic. I don't want it being at 380 frames per second and making my GPU go all crazy and get hot. So 60 is going to leave it there. 30, just going to leave that there. Collapse that. Video highlights. Alright. I like to record my stuff because, if it was awesome, I want to see it over again. So I leave this enabled. It doesn't really make a difference. And this is where I'm going to introduce this little thing right here. This shows your VRAM usage. Okay, this is how much I've got. This is how much I'm using currently based on my settings. And you can notice if disable it, guess what? Didn't move. So it doesn't affect it. I'm going to leave it on. Display gamma. Okay, so there's 2.4 and then there's 2.2. 2.4 is if you're using a TV screen for your main display. So if you have a TV screen and you're not using a computer screen, go ahead and click that over there. I couldn't really tell you if it makes much of a difference, but I'm just telling you what those are for. 2.2, that's my setting. Texture resolution. Okay, now this is where it's going to see a difference in your VRAM usage. I have a pretty beefy system, and so obviously I want things to look as nice as possible. And so I'm not going to sacrifice, much here. So, but notice, look, I went from high to normal. See what's going on up here whenever I do that? Makes a big difference, okay? You can keep going down, and it's not making much of a difference anymore. So normal might be where you want to be to maximize your frames per second. Give your RAM as much space as it wants to play around with. I'm going to keep mine on high. Call me a rebel, but that's what I paid for. I want nice, high-quality stuff. Texture filter, anisotropic. That's a tough word to say, especially when I can't speak very well. That doesn't change anything. So you can have it on high, or you can have it on normal or low, whatever you choose. I like playing on normal. I couldn't tell you why. Whatever. Particle quality. Now, I do like my explosions from my grenades to be really clear. I already have trouble seeing through it anyway. So to make it look foggy and just weird instead of a clear, doesn't matter. Plus, guess what? Doesn't mess with the RAM. Leave it as is. Bullet impact sprays. I do like to see where the bullets are. Call me crazy. I don't want to shoot and then it just be a blank wall. Whatever. And guess what? Doesn't mess with the RAM. Cool. Leaving it on. Tessellation. That doesn't mess with that either. So I'll leave it on all. Just because it looks cleaner, right? It looks like there's a whole lot more texture here than this one. You can change it. Like I said, you're just going to have to mess around. But what I'm telling you right now is probably going to be pretty simplistic for what you want to do. That didn't make any sense. I'm just talking. Alright, so shadows. Notice, I believe this does make a difference. Yes, it does. Check that out. And between low and normal, not much of a difference. So normal is probably low as you want to go. But from, normal to high makes quite a difference. And then to extra, even more. I play on high because shadows do make a difference, in my opinion. Now, in junction with this, cache spot shadows, cache sun shadows. I'm going to leave these on because if it caches it, it doesn't waste a lot of time trying to, render it and refigure everything out. So, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I like to leave those enabled. Particle adding, guess what? Doesn't mess with your RAM. I leave it on high just because there we are again, explosions. I like to see light, I'm a big fan of light and where it's coming from, so leave that on. And speaking of light and where it comes from, direct ray tracing. If you don't know what that is, I'd recommend you, look up a video that explains what it is. But whenever, you buy a nice GPU and it comes with these rendering program, right? And it says, hey, there's a sun up here and the light's coming from this sun. And you see how this is like this? Okay, that is where that shadow goes. However, it's rendered in triangles, and you don't know this. It's rendered in triangles, and it's saying, this is where it should go, I think. So it's going to render it there. Now over here, it says, okay, this is like more of a natural light. But anyway, like I said, look up direct ray tracing, and learn more about that on your own. I don't have time to go over it. It'd take 20 more minutes, and I've already run my mouth long enough. I'm sure you're just ready to play your game by now. So I'm going to leave ray tracing on. Trust me, I believe it's important. Ambient occlusion. I don't know what this is. Makes extremely little difference, so I'll leave it on. Screen space reflection. Also, couldn't tell you much of what it is. But there's little descriptions over here if you want to read it. It doesn't mess with my frames per second, so I'll leave it on. Depth of field. Anything that's going to blur my screen. See over here? Out of focus blur effect is disabled. Yeah, I'm not going to blur anything. That's not what I'm paying for. I don't want my game to look even more horrible than, whatever. I'm not going to make it look horrible. So, film strength, I'm going to leave that down. Motion blur, nope, no blur, nope, no blur. Film grain, nope, all zeros. Alright, so there's that. Now I'm going to click apply. And look at that, DirectX. Does anybody know why this is happening? If you do, leave me a comment and let's spread the wealth. I want to know why this happens, but it's not a big deal. Just going to close it out. We're going to open the game again. Unfortunately, we're very impatient people, and we just want to play our games. But think about it, think about it, think about it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this. Didn't close properly. Now, if you make some of these changes and you keep getting this message every time you try to open your game, then you do want to start it in save mode, and you want to change these settings, to lower settings to something that your computer can handle. And that's how you're going to get into your game if you're running into this issue. I'm not going to have an issue, so I'm going to say no save mode. That's my gamer tag. If you want to add me, just leave a comment or something. We'll play together. I'd be happy to make some new friends. And thank you. You can go away now. Now we're just going to check, make sure all these settings stuck. Yes, it did. Everything looks to be right where I left it. Let's make sure that, yep, 300. Alright, so now in general, let's go over here real quick. Field of view. I like 115. It's a personal preference. If you want to go for the 120, I think it's just too much. There's just way too much going on the screen. I like 115. It's about out here. It's not too narrow, but it's not super wide. So, personal preference, that's where I play at. Brightness is going to depend on your computer screen or your TV screen. It's all based by case by case. So, set that whatever works best for you. And everything else really doesn't make a difference. Colorblind, you can play with that. I do seem to see things better with this setting. Maybe it doesn't look good for you. Change it around, play with it. Maybe you'll like something. Whatever. Everything else doesn't really make much of a difference. So, oh, yeah, before we get out. Frames per second. See how I got my frames per second up here? The game actually does it for you if you're playing on PC. You can enable that, and you can't really see it because of my MSI Afterburner, but check it out. They're pretty fucking spot on there. But because I've got MSI Afterburner, I don't need that. We're going to disable it. And let's join a game and see where our frames per second are. Now, mind you, I've got all my settings on high, so I'm not going to be getting a full 144 frames per second. If I did want those, I would have to go into my settings and make things a little bit lower, but look how nice he looks, right? He looks real. Now, that's what I want. So if I'm not getting 144, but I'm still getting around 100, perfectly fine with me. I'm going to mute everybody. I don't want them listening in on my conversation with you guys, or I guess my conversation with myself. Whatever, doesn't make a difference. So we're going to go to Petrograd, or however you say it, whatever. See, now we're on this screen, so we're still getting around 60 frames per second. And look at that! Wow, be nice if I could play with that, right? Yeah. Don't get your hopes up. That's not what it's gonna be. Alright, that's hopefully what we're going to go for. It's going to give you a huge advantage over PS4. We're only getting about 60 frames. Settings
We have taken control.
Distracted. Anyway, like I said, leave me some comments down below, and we'll play together. I'm down and open to play with you. I'm having a good time. Maybe we can get a win on Warzone or something. I haven't gotten since I switched to Xbox, but I haven't really played a lot of Warzone. Changed my mind.
Allied UAV overhead.
Anybody around to kill? Me and my teammates.
Setting a trap.
Enemies here!
Kill confirmed.
Anyway, if this video helped you at all, let me know. There's 100 videos out there. And thank you for choosing to watch my video and listen to ramble on. But like I said, feel free to leave comments. Judge me if you want to.